Hi everybody, I'm Kathleen. Today we're going to make strawberry cupcakes from Forks Over Knives. So they're gluten-free, oil-free, and sugar-free. So let's get started. So the star of the recipe is obviously fresh strawberries. And if you want to come take a look, it calls for 2 pounds of strawberries. So I have already washed them and de-stemmed them. And they are amazing. Strawberries are in peak season right now. And you can blend them in a blender. I'm actually going to use the food processor. So don't be afraid of a food processor, because I was forever and wouldn't even do recipes that require them. And now I laugh because it's so easy, hopefully. So we're going to puree these. Take a peek. Delicious. So this is for the cupcakes and the frosting. I'm just going to scrape down the sides. And it's actually 1 pound. 1 pound of fresh strawberries. And they do recommend fresh versus frozen for this. I know my blueberry bake I encourage frozen, but this one's fresh. Okay, so we're actually going to make the frosting first, and you'll see why here. So we're gonna get our top off here, and we're gonna measure out a cup of the strawberry puree, and I might have to get more strawberries. I just wanted to start with the amount it said. See how we do here. And this is a frosting like no other I have tried before in the way it's all put together here. So we're going to do this together for my first time also. So we're going to put it on the stove top and combine it with a few other ingredients here. So then we have, for the sweetener, we're using maple syrup instead of refined sugar, and I show this a lot. Kirkland products are from Costco, and this is organic maple syrup, and it's very reasonably priced, and I do use it in a lot of things. So we're going to add in 1/4 cup. And let me get the burner going here. And we have our oven preheated at 350. And then we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of lemon. And this is fresh squeezed lemon juice. Just 1/4. I'm going to give it just a little tang. And I see I have more maple syrup. I always want to get every morsel. Now this actually has to simmer for about 8 to 10 minutes. So we will come back to this. And then there's actually a couple more steps to it. But you know, traditionally, frostings have powdered sugar, which is yummy, of course. But this is just using our natural sweetener, maple syrup. So let's get that going. I think I got all my little bits out of there. I'm going to save this. Now we're going to move on to the wet ingredients, okay? So we're going to measure out another cup of the strawberry puree. So we get double. And I can always blend up more, but we're going to probably just say this is good enough. And I'll move. Get the blade out of the way, and we can get every bit of it. Okay, so strawberries, like most fruits, are high in vitamin A and vitamin C, and because we're using the whole fruit, we've got the fiber in it also here. All right, good, worked out. So 1 pound, I think I misspoke in the beginning, I said 2. It's 1 pound of strawberries. You do want to buy a little bit more to garnish if that interests you. And I bought organic strawberries at Trader Joe's. All right, let's move that into our bowl. Oh, our first wet ingredient. I can hear our frosting bubbling on the stove. And then we are going to add in a 3/4 cup of unsweetened plant milk. And I've shown this before. I just made this on the spot. I put in about 8 raw cashews and 3/4 cup water, and voila. And you could use any plant milk. I just recommend unsweetened. All right, now we're gonna add in 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. This is Simple Truth Organic. I rarely use vinegar, but when I do, I use apple cider vinegar anymore. I used to, I realized that was making me sneeze. So we're just gonna do 1 teaspoon of that. And then it also calls for a flax egg, 1 tablespoon of flax. And I am sensitive to flax seeds, so I use this Energy egg replacer like I showed last time. Energy, it's a white powder, potato starch, tapioca starch, 1 1/2 teaspoon of the powder with 2 tablespoons water is 1 egg. And that's what we've got here. I actually Googled flaxseed allergy this morning because I was like, gosh, am I the only one? And there were other stories. So it's just something to be aware of. Some people do have a sensitivity to flax, and some people don't at all, which is great because it is high in omega-3s. All right, let's see what else we have. We have some vanilla, and again, Kirkland Costco brand vanilla. I'll do a 1/2 teaspoon, whoops, of vanilla. All right, whoops, got a little extra. And then we're gonna do 3/4 cup of the maple syrup. I'm just gonna put it back in this. So that's a lot of maple syrup. Okay, perfect. Moving on. And then what I thought was really fun is they use almond butter. And I noticed because there obviously isn't any oil, there's also no applesauce. So we've got 1/4 cup, again, Kirkland organic almond butter. I love this stuff. I really eat it every day. So we'll get that going in here. So get some plant protein. People are always concerned where vegans get their protein, and all plants have some form of protein. Even just fruit has traces of protein, but the nuts and seeds do obviously have more. And if you haven't seen The Game Changers on Netflix, please watch it. It's Olympian athletes, these elite plant-based athletes who are just crushing it in their fields, all on plants. Okay, we are gonna stir this all together. Okay, that is our wet ingredients. So far, no blender required, which is nice. I'm gonna set this aside. We're gonna move on. I know it's like a never ending. Cupcakes are always a big deal, and I don't have children. My husband has kids, but they don't live with us, so I don't have a lot of cupcake experience, but I love cupcakes, so that's why I wanted to make these for Mother's Day weekend. So we're gonna use oat flour, and what I do is just blend. It calls for 1 cup and 1/4, so I blend actually that exact amount, and it works out perfectly. So I already did that, and it's just good to go. And oat flour is great in gluten-free recipes because it has some binding abilities. It just seems to work better than a lot of other flours. And then we are gonna add sorghum flour. And this is Bob's Red Mill whole grain sorghum flour. And anytime I've used sorghum flour, I've had a lot of success also. I don't know a lot about it, but I know it's worked. And then we're gonna do 3/4 cup of that. And then we've got our baking soda and baking powder, not to get confused, but they are both in here. And I really did some research online on Amazon to find a baking powder that did not have corn in it. And I found it. and it's been great, Geffen. So we're gonna do 2 teaspoons of that. And then we want to do our baking soda, and we just have 1/4 of a teaspoon of that. It does call for 2 pinches of salt, and I know a lot of people who follow Forks Over Knives don't do salt, so that's optional. I am just gonna add 2 pinches here. 1, 2, great. Okay, and let me get another spoon here. I'm just gonna use this. Mix our dry ingredients here. Make sure I got everything. And then we're gonna combine the two. Get this. Okay. All right. So this would be a fun recipe for any summer event, potlucks, picnics, birthday parties. Great way to introduce your friends and family to delicious vegan baked goods. And this one especially because it doesn't have any butter, eggs, or sugar. So that's good. That's coming together well. I'm always impressed with these recipe creators on Forks Over Knives. This looks like a good one. Okay, we're gonna go back here and touch base with our frosting, because we still have a few steps. So I think that's looking good. 8 to 10 minutes here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. Now, this is an interesting step. We'll see how this goes. We're gonna pour this in a bowl and add some almond flour to it. Smells amazing. Okay. Oh my gosh. We are gonna add in 1/2 cup of almond flour, and this is almond flour meal from Simple Truth Organic, which is the Kroger brand, which I love and highly recommend. I'm gonna do that. And then we're gonna give it another stir here. And then we're gonna actually put it in the blender. So I've never made, again, a frosting like this, but I think it's gonna be fun and definitely interested to see how it turns out. And of course you can always improvise with your own frosting. There's lots of vegan frosting recipes online. Okay, now we have yet one more step with the frosting. We're gonna put it in the blender. I'll switch spoons. That is probably, there we go. Let's see if we can get a little bit out so it's not so loud. Okay, so we're gonna blend this and then put it in the refrigerator for an hour. Let's see how this goes. let's take a peek. So the almond flour gives it, so, ooh, that looks beautiful. I'm even surprised. And that's good. The almond flour gives it a little thickness. So I'm gonna put that in the fridge. And then we're gonna start putting the batter into our little cups here. Okay, so. So I know this is silly, but I hadn't bought these in a while and I had to ask at the store. So they are in the baking section in the grocery store, but sometimes they're hidden. They're in different places, I learned. So I'm gonna fill these cups about 3/4 full. And then we are gonna bake it at 350 for 30 to 35 minutes. And you want to stick a toothpick in them to make sure they're done before you pull them out. So I'm going to keep doing this, and I will see you in a bit. All right, we're back, and I've had the cupcakes cooling for about an hour, and the frosting has been in the refrigerator for about an hour as well, and we are good to go. Make sure you stick a toothpick in the center before you take them out, because mine actually did take a lot longer to cook. But if you use the flax meal, hopefully it'll be more like 35 minutes. So I'm just gonna put a dollop of frosting on these. My frosting is a little darker, but I don't know, once we pureed the strawberries, it just seemed that it went a little darker, okay? And because these are no oil, no sugar, hopefully that means we get to have more than one. All right, yummy, yummy, lots of frosting. And then you can top it with a fresh strawberry, like that. Great. So I hope you enjoy the recipe. I'd love you to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Thank you for joining me in saving animals with your food choices. Have a great week.